Is that it?
Hi and welcome to XTronical. In this episode we're going to look at doing a score and a high score. Without further ado, let's get into the code. So looking down here, we've got a new line we didn't have last time, which was including a library called EEPROM. The EEPROM library is only used for scoring the high score. Basically on the Arduino processors there's an area of memory that even when you remove power, and maybe the board sits there for years, perhaps decades, in theory, whatever you've stored in that particular memory, it'll still be there when you power it up again. It doesn't need to actually have power to maintain its memory. And you can write to it and change it on the fly while in your program. You might wonder why we don't actually do that all the time, why we just have all memory like that. So we have a variable called name, and it contains the name, perhaps Dave, then that will stay in the computer's memory when we've written it, even when we're powered off. One reason we don't do is EEPROM memory tends to be quite a bit slow to access compared to normal dynamic memory, so that's one reason. Another reason is we sometimes just want it to be able to be, once you've done a reset or powered off, that everything's cleared back to its initial state. But for high scores, obviously we want really for them to stay valid even when you power down. So this library, as I said, will be what we'll be using to store the high score. Again, if you go on XTronical.com, let me just bring that up. All the code, you can see it goes through it all there as well, but all the code is available there to simply copy and paste into your current build, and you have the high score that we're going through today. So quick look at the existing code, which is it was running, it just finished. I just press the reset button. Okay, so that was working, we were firing. Last time we worked on mothership, and there's the mothership going across. But we had some scoring at the top. So let's just bring back up the code, and if we look further down to where the place structure is, so look for it. There we go. So in the place structure, what we've done, we've introduced a score right there. So now we can store the score, and we could have done that as a global variable. To be fair, if we wanted to, it's far neat to do it this way anyway. But one of my ideas when I stored it in the player structure was that in the original Space Invaders you could have two-player games. Basically, you just took turns. But in order to implement that neatly, we'd really want to store two player structures, one for player 1, one for player 2, and then they'd all have their own access to their own current score as it's progressing. In the end, I never implemented that. That's something you may want to look at yourselves. But so the score is in the player structure. The high score should be a little bit further down here. Yes, the high score is global to everything. It's just one score no matter who scored it, and we've signed it as a global there. So coming to the initialization routine, to the setup routine, and we have this line here, which is EEPROM.get. Now the EEPROM is just a collection of bytes. I can't remember how much are in the Arduino. I think it's about maybe 1,000 a K, something like that. Maybe 512 bytes, can't quite remember. But enough for our purposes anyway to store a simple high score. So here it's saying get from the very start of EEPROM memory, at byte 0 of EEPROM memory, get me the high score. Now a high score, the way we've defined the high score, just up here, there, it's an integer, and on Arduino the integers are 2 bytes long. So the system looks at how long that is, or the routine, this get routine, whoever's written it somewhere, looks at how long that is, it's 2 bytes, and it gets byte number 0, and it will get the next byte, so byte 0, byte 1, it will bring them out, and it will store them values at byte 0 and byte 1 into high score, and you'll have your high score. Now if the high score happens to be 65,535, and that basically means every single bit of those 8 bits, you've got 2 bytes, which is 8 bits each, so that's 16 bits altogether. If each one of those bits in those bytes is set to a 1, then the number represented is 65,535. And by default, when you buy a new Arduino, brand new, you've never programmed the EEPROM before, then they're all set to 1s. So if that reads that, then it's going to set the high score to 0, and then it will put it back out into the EEPROM. So if it says that, sees that EEPROM has never been used, we'll set the high score to 0, and then it will store that 0 in them first 2 bytes that we just read just up here. So it's going to store byte 0 and byte 1 the high score, because it's 2 bytes long to store the low byte at 0 then the high byte at 1, or it might be the other way around, but it's unimportant for our purposes. It's going to store the value for high score at bytes 0 and 1. So coming down from that, let's have a look. So we have different, here we go, there we go. So we have different scores per alien. So the ones at the bottom score the least, 10 points, the middle row 20, and the higher row 30. I think that's very similar to how the real Space Invaders did it. It certainly did it in a staggered way upwards, but obviously we only have 3 rows that had about 6 or 7 rows. But again, each row, I think there was 6 rows, and each row was the same invader for 2 rows. So the first 2 bottom rows are one type of invader, the next 2 middle rows are another type, and the top 2 rows were again the third type of invader. And I think they scored 10, 20 and 30 depending on which type of invader was scored. So this one, you just pass in the row number of the alien you've just destroyed, and it will return the appropriate score for you to use how you want. So row 0 will return 30, which is the top, and row 2, which is the bottom row, will return 10. So scrolling down, so looking for a collision with the missile and alien. So I was looking down, missile and alien collisions, there we go. So in missile and alien collisions, this is where we check whether the missiles hit one of the invaders, and if it is, you can see here, missiles hit, then yeah, exploding alien, destroyed missile, and then the player score plus equals, so player score plus equal, it means we're going to add to the player score the actual score for that alien, passing in the current value of the variable down, which if you look here, we're going down from 0 to the number of rows we've got. So that's where we know which row we're on. We're going through the aliens a row at a time as we're going through the collision code. Actually, I've just copied something there, just undo that. We're going through each row at a time for the collision code, so we know when we've hit something, we know exactly which row it's at, and we pass that in and we get that score back. The next one we're looking for is the collision with the mothership. Is that around here? No, that's the display. I think we might have gone past it. Let's just scroll back up. I think it was before missile and alien collisions. Yeah, mothership collisions. So look at mothership. We talked about this in this last episode. The mothership bonus is decided here, and then all we do is player score is going to be incremented by whatever the mothership bonus was we've got, and that's it. Fairly simple. And then if we scroll down, we should have some sort of initialization of the score. We've got a player initialize routine somewhere. There we go. So the player initialize routine here, we've got here, we simply set the player score to 0. And that is pretty much it. This is a really quick episode just for the scoring. You may have noticed we've talked about the high score at the start, and we set a high score and we read the EEPROM, we wrote to the EEPROM if it had never been written to before to clear it to 0 for what we wanted, and then we've done nothing with it. Well, that's because the high score is going to be part of a later article where we've got to look at when the level has ended or when the player's last life has completed. That's actually the one we need to look at, isn't it? So when the player's last life has gone, they're not going to score anymore. We'll look at their current score there when they've lost their last life, check if it's been more than high score, and then we'd store it. So the reason we're not doing it now is because we're not even making a check for the player. We don't even look for the player's lives. So the number of lives the player has is just not even there either. So when we start to implement that code, we'll look at actually storing the high score. So it's been a very, very quick episode. Oh, completely haven't uploaded the new code. So we're nearly raced off actually doing the main bit. So let's just go to Sketch and upload. And we'll upload the new code to the board. So it's uploading. And should come on in a second. We should see 2 scores at the top. Let's get my fingers in here. And the score on the left here is your score, and that's the number of lives at that side. And that is not the number of lives, isn't it? We haven't implemented that yet. So that's the high score. I think I changed that. I think I'll change that to be the number of lives. But at the moment, that's your current score and high score. So let's shoot an alien. So the bottom row should score me 10. It does. Then a 20 to put it up to 30, and then 30 to put it up to 60. And then we're looking to try and hit a mothership and see the score jump up quite a lot. will not catch that mothership, it's already gone. So we'll just see if we can destroy, just hover about in the middle, and there we go. So 100 points, and yeah, up to 460. So that's all implemented fine. So the next episode we'll look at perhaps putting the high score in. I may look at actually maybe adding the bases. I haven't quite decided yet. The bases, if I do that, is quite a big bit of code, but we'll see what happens next time. I'll have a look at what we're going to implement. Okay, so for now, like and subscribe. If you see the XT for XTronical at the end, that's your subscribe button. Click on that and you'll see some suggestions for other episodes. Okay, thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you next time.